Hey guys, welcome. I hope you're all doing great. In today's installment of Cooking 101, we're going to be boiling eggs. Whether it's for Easter or a healthy breakfast or anything in between, every cook needs to know how to boil an egg. And when we talk about boiling eggs, we don't necessarily mean the actual process of cooking the egg, although we will take a look at that today. What we want to focus on is making that process so easy so that when you peel the egg afterwards, or your guests do, they'll have no problem whatsoever. Because as all of you know, if you've ever tried to peel a hard-boiled egg, it can sometimes be a little challenging. It comes off tiny piece by tiny piece, almost as if it's stuck like super glue to the egg white underneath. And then by the time you're done, you have something that resembles more of a topographical map of an ocean floor than it does an actual smooth oval egg. So I'm going to show you techniques that'll take care of that, as well as a secret ingredient that you might not expect. But before we get to that, go wash those hands and we'll get cracking. Okay, so first we need to meet our cast of characters. It's not going to be very complicated today. It's eggs. That's pretty much it. Eggs, well, in water. You need to have a pot such as this one or a Dutch oven, and then you're also going to need ice, specifically ice water, but we already covered the water, so there you go. Also, I mentioned a secret ingredient. I'm going to share that with you in just a little bit, but for now, let's just look at these. First, let's talk about the eggs. The eggs obviously are the main player in hard-boiled eggs. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that part out. But what you might not know is there is a difference in the types of eggs you can use. And I don't necessarily mean farm-raised versus the supermarket, although that's a component of this as well. Regardless of where you get your eggs, the age and maturity of the eggs will actually be a big part of having an easy peel after you're done cooking the eggs. Now, what I mean by that is when you go to the grocery store or when you go to a farm or somewhere like that and you buy eggs, what you'll want to do is leave them in your refrigerator for at least 5 to 10 days. What this does is it gives the eggs a little bit of time to mature and build up a little bit of air. So in each egg, it's got a little bit of an air pocket that is really, really small when it starts. But as the water inside the egg kind of converts to air and the air permeates the shell specifically, it creates a larger air pocket, right? And that air pocket is what's going to make it so easy to have that eggshell release from the finished egg white once we're done cooking. So that's a big, big part of it, is if you can, try to wait at least 5 to 10 days with the eggs in the fridge before you use them to boil. But if you can, it's okay, because we're going to look at a couple other things that are going to assist in this process as well. One thing to keep in mind, when you start cooking, everything needs to be cold. The eggs need to be cold, the water needs to be cold, the pot needs to be cold, everything cold. We're going to obviously heat it up to a boil, but that's key in the beginning. So after you've got your eggs, you've got those ready. Today I'm using 4, but as you know, you can use as many as you need. You're going to want to put them into your heavy pot or your Dutch oven on a single layer at the bottom. So you can cook as many eggs as you need, but we just don't want to crowd the pan because then it's not going to cook right. The cooking is a key component also of the eggshell releasing successfully at the end. So we want to just put one single layer of eggs in our pot, and I'll show you in a minute when we get on the cooktop, you know, from the camera angle like I usually do so you can see it. But you'll want to put all of them on the bottom of your pot, and when you fill it up with water, which I'm going to do a shot of that as well, what I'm going to do is try to leave about 2 inches of water above the eggs. Now, if you are like me and you're crazy, you will probably go get the tape measure or the measuring tape, whatever, and put it in the pot to get exactly 2 inches, because I like to know that if something messes up, it's not my fault. I was just following instructions, right? But there's an easier way to do it that I've learned, and it's what I call the knuckle method. So what you want to do is you want to take your finger, put that finger on top of the egg in the pot, and then count your knuckles up to 2. That's going to be approximately 2 inches. Will it be exact? No. But will it be good enough for these purposes? Yes. So again, put your eggs in the pot, fill the cold water up, and as it's filling, put your finger on top of the egg and just count to that second knuckle, and you'll be good to go. So I'm going to switch over to the camera over here and show you that down angle of filling up the pot so you can see what I'm talking about, and then we're going to get started on our cooking. So we've got our eggs in our pot, and we're going to add our water, cold water again. And as this fills, as I said before, you're just going to take your finger, put it on top of the egg, and I'll just try to do like a sideways angle so you can see, but here it's filling up. I'm only using 4 eggs today because I don't need that many, but you could use as many as would fill the bottom of your pot. And that's about the second knuckle. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the water off now, and you can see that it's down to about that second knuckle. That's going to give us a couple of inches, which will be good. Before we turn the heat on, there's a couple of things we need to do to prepare. We've got our eggs in our water, great. We need to also have some ice on hand. And what I mean is either have ice ready to go to put into this pot once we drain the eggs when they're done, or we need to have a whole separate bowl ready with ice in it so that we can plunge the eggs in. This is gonna make them stop cooking once we've got them where we want them to be. But for now, don't worry about that. Just keep it in mind, it's coming up, but things are gonna happen fast once the eggs are done. So that's why I mention it. For now, we have our eggs on our burner, turned off. We've got them in our water. We've got enough water to cover them. Everything is great, but we need the secret ingredient. This is the one thing that can be your savior if you're using fresh eggs, or if you just haven't cooked them properly and they maybe were too crowded in the pan without enough space. This is gonna really help you out. And that secret ingredient is baking soda. I have no idea why this box is cut in half. I guess it was just a victim of some crime in the pantry. I have no idea. But regardless, still good. It's baking soda, pure baking soda. All you need, half a teaspoon. Half a teaspoon before you start cooking, just put into your water like this, is going to help you out immensely. So we've got our baking soda in, we've got our eggs in. Now we just turn on the heat. Medium. Don't go power boil if you have that option. Don't go high, don't go too low. Just plain old medium will get the job done. Put this on medium and then let it come to a boil on its own. Once you've noticed that it's boiling, let it go for 1 minute. That's all you have to do. That's it. For this whole step, all you have to do, turn the burner on, let it come up to a boil. Once you notice that it's boiling, set the timer for 1 minute, and then we are going to turn off the heat. But we're not there yet. So again, for this step, that's all you have to do. We're gonna let this do its thing. I'm gonna cut away and I'm gonna come back and we're gonna take it from there. While we wait for our eggs to cook, let me share this little tidbit with you in case you're ever wondering how to tell if your eggs have gone bad or not. We've all done that thing where we take the eggs from the carton, put them right into the fridge for whatever reason, and then we forget how long they've been in there. Happens to everybody, but don't worry. The easiest way to tell is by something called the water test. And what you'll want to do, similar to how we just filled up the pot for our eggs, take a bucket of water or a bowl of water or a pot of water and fill it up higher than the egg, okay? Then put your egg into the water. If it sinks to the bottom and lays on its side, that is a sign that it's a really fresh egg, because like we talked about a minute ago, eggs have air inside them. And as the eggs age, more air comes into that pocket and it will make the egg start to float. And by this, what we mean is that if the egg is starting to get old, it might rise up from its side and stand on the small part because that air pocket is going to be on the bottom. So it's going to start floating from the bottom up. If it floats like that, almost like it's suspended in mid-water, that's fine too. In fact, that's actually the best for making boiled eggs, and also if you're going to use the egg whites to make something like meringue, if you weren't boiling them, if you were using them for another purpose. Those kind of eggs that are slightly older but still good are the best. If an egg floats, throw it out. It's no good. That means that so much air has gotten into that egg that its nutritional value might still be there, but it's going to bring salmonella with it. So that's your call. But if it's me, I'm tossing that egg. All right, so we are rocking and boiling. Oh, the jokes today. The jokes are no good today, but we are boiling. This is a slow rolling boil. This is what you want to see at this point. We're going to let this go for exactly 1 minute. Once you notice that it's boiling, as we talked about earlier. So I'm watching the clock. We're going to let this go a minute. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cover the pot, and then we are going to take it off the heat. And when we do that, we're going to let it go for 12 minutes. So something I should have told you before we started, actually, with all of this.
Now a warning?
You always want to put a couple of eggs more than you think you'll need. These have done great today. They've all stayed intact. But every now and then, there can be tiny little fractures on the shell that you might not see, that once you've put the egg under such stress of the boiling water, sometimes the egg white can leak out and cook in the pot. And so anyway, if you're making something that calls for an exact amount, again, always go a little over. If you have a couple extra, no harm. You can have those for a little snack or something, right? Okay, so this has been going for a minute. So I'm going to cover it with a tight fitting lid. I'm going to turn off my heat, and I'm actually going to take it off the heat and put it right there. And we're going to let this go. I'm going to set a timer for 12 minutes. And at the end of 12 minutes, we're going to take the eggs out and plunge them into an ice bath so that it stops the cooking. And that's what we're going to do next. And just like that, 12 minutes is up. So we are going to now take our eggs that we've just boiled and plunge them into an ice bath so that it will stop the cooking process from this hot water that they're currently in. So let's take our lid off here, get a quick free facial from the steam, and we're just going to take our eggs out one by one and throw them into our ice bath, just like so. Now, if I weren't filming this, it'd be a much more awkward process of me at the sink, dumping water out and steam going everywhere and just general mayhem. But I'm trying to make it look as nice as possible for you fine people today. Now, with the ice bath, that's an expression we use. Just all it means is you've got a, as we said earlier, a bowl or a small bucket or, you know, a pot, whatever, filled with ice and water. You want to let the eggs go for an hour, I find is best, in the cold water, just to get them nice and chilled all the way through. But if you're really in a rush and you just can't wait, you want to at least let it go until I would say the ice melts. That's a good clue as well. Once you've seen that the ice is melted, you can go ahead and move forward. Now, with the magic of video, I happen to already have an egg done. So I will show you now, and this is where it's like a leap of faith, because let's hope this worked, or this is all just BS if it didn't. So we want to take our egg, and the way that I find is easiest to peel it is to start with the bottom, the more broad end of the egg, because that's where that air pocket is. So it's going to have a nice, probably, hopefully anyway, separation between the membrane and the shell. It'll make it easier. If you've done these three things that we talked about, giving the egg space to cook, adding the baking soda, and then also choosing eggs that have been a little bit mature, a little bit older in the refrigerator, you should have no problems. But in case you do, there is one more thing you can do. If you notice you're still having problems, if you forgot to do all those things, don't sweat it. One last thing you can do is just put the eggs in an airtight container in the refrigerator for a few days. That'll also help release that shell and make it easier to peel. But let's see if we can get this done. I'm going to crack the bottom. If you've seen people do, everyone swears by their techniques. Some people do the whole rolling technique where the whole egg, whatever works for you, this is just what I have found works best for me. So we're just going to take the egg like so, and you'll see that it's coming off, and you'll feel with the side of your thumb, and I'm trying to get in camera so you can see here on the close-up, you'll want to use your thumb like this, and you'll feel where it has started, it's real slick and it feels real smooth. You'll want to kind of go with that and just use the side of your thumb to just push that eggshell right off of the egg white. And you'll see here, because we've done our technique, the shell is releasing with no problems because it knows it has no place here anymore. Time to go. And if you have any tiny pieces, you can rinse those off in the sink. Make sure you just use the paper towel to clean it off, and then there you go. The incredible edible egg. So I hope you found value in this video. If you did, I would certainly appreciate a like. A subscribe will be even better. Just be sure to click the bell so that you know when I've released new videos. But regardless, I appreciate you checking out the video today. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you in the next video.